guys, so I have had an epic month of reading. I have read more books in August than I ever have, I think in my whole life in 1 month. So I have my book journal here and I am so excited to show you my month of August. I have done it early this month. Here it is. I had to add a flap because I read a total of 16 books this month. So let's talk about this epic month I've had here. I've read 16 books, 5,458 pages with a total star count of 66 and days spent reading 119. That's crazy because it's like technically a month, but this one took me 27 days and I read a lot of it in July and also a lot of it in August, so that took me a long time to read that one. So that's kind of what pushed my day rating up a little bit. But anyway, I kind of want to just go through everything, single one that I read, and talk to you about them and just tell you what I thought. So the first one I read in August was The Cheerleaders. Absolutely loved it. 5-star book. This was almost my favorite. I was between A Heartless and Cheerleaders as being my favorite for the month, but Heartless went out. But The Cheerleaders was right up there at the top of my reads. I really loved it. It was fantastic. Kept me on the edge of my seat for the entire book, and I really felt like I could not put this one down. I would highly recommend that. The next one I read was Apples Never Fall. This is my least favorite of the month. That's what that little X means. I didn't really love it. The only reason I really even finished it was because, well, number one, I was listening to it instead of reading it, so it made it a little bit easier. Number two, I really wanted to find out what happened in the end. It was like this big mystery. The wife went missing, and you're pretty much trying to figure that out for the entire time, and you only find out to the absolute very end everything that was going on, and the big reveal was just not what I was thinking it was going to be, and it was not very exciting. It was honestly a bit of a letdown. So next one was Star Wars Master and Apprentice. I have been really getting into the Star Wars books lately since my name is the Page Jedi. I felt like I should really start reading some Star Wars books since I am so into reading now, and they are not letting me down. This one got 4 stars, only because I felt like it could have been a little bit better, but overall it was really a great book and it kept my attention. I also listened to it on audiobook, and they had like sound effects of lightsabers and shooting and like music in the background at some point, so I thought that that was really cool and fun. And I've heard a lot of people say that if you are going to read any of the Star Wars books, you should listen to it on audio, and that is why. It did get like a little bit distracting in some points, so I almost didn't like it there, but then I kind of got used to it, I think, and it was fine. So after that, I read Heartless, which this little heart means that it was my favorite of the whole month, and I would highly recommend you run out and get this book ASAP. It obviously got 5 stars, and this one's of the backstory of the Red Queen from the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And there will be a in-depth review on all of these books you see here on my YouTube eventually. So I'm not going to go too in-depth on it, but just tell you that you should definitely read it. The next one I read was Glitches, and then The Little Android. I'm kind of going to group these two together because this one was 32 pages, this one was 35. I got them as free ebooks, and they are pretty much like the 0.5 and the 1.5 versions from the Lunar Chronicles, and I really wanted to read them because I have been trying to read the entire series of books whenever I start a series, so these were just ones that I kind of had to read going along with the series. This one I actually really liked. It was Cinder's backstory, who is our main character in the Lunar Chronicles, and it was pretty cool. I honestly would have loved it if it was a little bit longer, but it gave us like a lot of insight on where she came from and just more information about her in general. the little android was not really about any particular character. It was more just about an android, and it kind of gave us like some insight into why Aiko, the android, is the way that she is. So I liked that for that reason, but otherwise it was like very short and just kind of, I felt like a little bit pointless. I didn't really feel like there was a big point to it, to be honest. I feel like we kind of could have just gone without it. But I guess that's why it's like a short in-between book. The next one I listened to was Far From You. I really liked this one. I did rate it 4 stars, just because like there were certain parts that I just felt like were so unnecessary, and it did get like a little bit boring at some points, but for the most part, overall, I thought it was a really great story. It was exciting. There was a lot going on, and really good book. I would definitely suggest you read that if you have not. Then we come to this one, the one that took me 27 days to read, Mermaid Moon. Don't get me wrong that I did not like it, because I did. I gave it 4 stars. But it was just a very thick, long book. It was almost 500 pages. It was 496 pages. And I feel like it just took me absolutely forever to read. And also, I was reading a lot of other books at the time that I was really more interested in than this one. This was kind of just a random book I picked up and didn't really know much about. And usually I really plan out the books I read, and I'm really excited to read them. So this kind of just like fell to the wayside. And if I wasn't reading so many books at one time, I feel like I would have read this so much faster and maybe even liked it a little bit more. So now I get to flip my little flap here, and you're not gonna be able to see it. So let me move the camera. Next, we have Watch Over Me. I listened to this one as well. This was one I was very excited about reading, and I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was. I only ended up giving it 3 stars. I felt like it was just a really weird book. It was kind of all over the place. Kind of also, I could see where they were going with it. Sorry about that squeaking noise in the background. My dog loves to run around squeaking her toy every time I film a video, so there's that. But anyway, I just didn't really see a big point to this book. Yes, it was halfway entertaining because it was just like interesting-ish, but if I was reading it as a book, I probably would have DNF'd it. Listening to it as an audiobook was okay. I just wasn't so thrilled with that one. Then we come to this one, Never Never, part of the Disney Villain series, the newest release. I'm assuming she's going to write more, so I'm not going to say it's the last one in the series, but I was so excited to read this one. Finally got it, rated at 5 stars. It did not disappoint. It is Captain Hook's backstory, if you could not tell. Absolutely thrilled with it. I would highly suggest reading that if you've been reading the Disney Villain series. Next would be Pretty Things. This was one that I've had on my TBR for probably ever since I started my Goodreads. I was interested in it back then, and it absolutely held up to my interest. I rated it 5 stars. I was between picking this one for my favorite of the month. And if I didn't have so many amazing books that I read this month, probably that would have been my favorite. It was fast-paced, it was mysterious, it was thrilling, it was like everything you could possibly want in a book. There was romance as well. There's just everything, literally. Absolutely love this book. I listened to it. If I would have read it, I think I probably would have liked it even more, which is like impossible because it got 5 stars. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about that book. Go out and read that as soon as possible. Next, I read Cress, talking about the Lunar Chronicles. I pretty much was reading these two so that I could read Cress. This is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles. I liked it better than the 2nd book, probably about the same as the first one. I rated it 4 stars. The only complaint really was that it was a little bit long. It's 552 pages, and I feel like there was just some parts that were just very boring and just like very like over-explained and really didn't need to necessarily be in there. And if they weren't in there, it probably would have got 5 stars because I really did enjoy it, and I like how this author writes, and I like how she just takes well-known characters like Rapunzel, who's basically what Cress is about, and just like gives it her whole entire new spin on it and puts them in outer space, and just It's very cool. If you have not started the Lunar Chronicles, I would highly suggest starting it because it is very good and I am looking forward to reading the next one in the series. After that, I got Ahsoka, a Star Wars book. I have been so excited to read this. I am so excited and happy that I did get to finally have some time to read it. It definitely got a large 5-star rating from me. The writing of this author, her name is E.K. Johnston. She's a fantastic writer. I love everything I've ever read by her. She does write a lot of Star Wars books, and I have read, I think this is my 4th or 5th Star Wars book by her that I've read. She's got another series of Star Wars books that I have not yet read, and I am excited to read those as well because she's just such a fabulous author and everything she writes is just fire. So I would definitely highly recommend reading this. Even if you don't like Star Wars, I feel like you would be really entertained by it. Ahsoka is just like such a great female character, and she just takes care of herself and she takes care of everybody else, and she's just really selfless and caring. And then we have Addicted to You. I was so excited to start this series. I got it as a birthday present. My birthday's in August, so I finally got to start this towards the end of the month and read it in 12 days, and I really, really liked it. It got 5 stars. I actually just ordered the second one because I liked it so much, and I really can't wait to read the next one and continue on with this series. I would highly recommend this series. It's so dramatic and just something different than what you would normally expect. There's a lot of addictions in this book, which keeps it very interesting and fresh, and yeah, I would just highly recommend it. Then we come to The End of Her. I like this one. I listened to it. I gave it 4 stars. It was pretty good. The ending was mind-blowing. I was so excited about the ending. I loved how they ended it. It was just kept me guessing, even though I kind of felt like I knew what was gonna happen. It also kind of surprised me at the same time, if that makes sense. The last book I read in this month is The Princess Diarist by Carrie Fisher. I gave it 4 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and I am so glad I did because it is read by Carrie Fisher, who is Princess Leia. If you're not into Star Wars, you probably wouldn't be into this book, but since I am a big Star Wars fan, it was absolutely fantastic, and it was so bittersweet to hear Carrie Fisher's voice just talking the whole time about her life. And she read some of her own personal journal entries from that time in her life, and it was just really, really good, and I really loved listening to this book. I would highly suggest listening to it on audio instead of reading it because it was just great to have it read by her. So that wraps up my month of August. I hope you enjoyed watching and learning about a couple different books that I read this month. This is my record-breaking month of 16 books in 1 month. I kind of feel like I cheated because these were 35 pages each, but they still count as books in my eyes. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time. Bye.